In the white corner, kicking off with the Nimzo Larsen, is the world number one Magic Carpetson, and his opponent, responding with pawn to e5, is the Washington Dulles champion and now candidates qualifier Hikaru Nakamura. This is El Clasico, online chess entitled Tuesday. We missed it last Tuesday in early November in the chaos of the fantastic chess World Cup. They played each other here and Hikaru just went casual let's destroy Magnus mode. It's online chess, it's a weekly tournament, the greatest grandmothers in the world play each other, and when I play this position I go pawn e3. It's the main idea. Bishop b5 follows, knight f3. It'd be remiss of me not to mention it because I've spent every day using Lotus Chess, genuinely studying this opening for weeks now. Getting used to it, using the flashcards. Check it out, link in the description. Very, very fun daily little habit. But Magnus goes with pawn to c4, a kind of English thing, played by the Norwegian against the American in online chess. They both get their ponies out, making little horsey noises, and with the pawn now attacked twice, this is the most ambitious move. Discombobulate that one, then hit it again and try and turn it into a wayward donkey. Magnus jumps here, best move, because if you take, well, after pawn takes, the bishops are firing, it's initiative to black, queen's eyes opened, not ideal. So Magnus does this, but he's treading a tightrope. You're in behind enemy lines very soon, and in some lines you don't even want to take that pawn because the knight gets trapped. But let's not go there. Hikaru simply castles, so no need to worry about that. Now we get pawn e3 and d5, watch out, because the real threat is not doing something here or here, but it's chopping off an entire donkey. So Magnus responds by taking the pawn in the center. You eat me, I eat you, let's all have
mushrooms
for dessert. It is a playable line, or you could jump forward like this, maybe come in here, maybe eating this soon. But the game was queen takes. Real Black Widow spider, centralized, very beautiful. Now the knight really is toast unless you retreat it. Played, of course, and Hikaru gallops forward like this, trying to take advantage of Magnus's dubious opening play. Now I say dubious, it's dubious for mere mortals. Not developing, his king's in the center, look at the black pieces, flooding the center. But Magnus has got it figured out. He develops, hits the queen, and after Hikaru checks, and Magnus is forced to give up his legendary bishop bear, queen recaptures, pawn takes not possible of course, or the queen would have dropped. He now plays queen b1. And he's got exactly what the endgame goat wants. An endgame without queens on. Because you can't retreat somewhere, you know, I don't know, pick a square. Because the center drops. There's 1, 2, 3 pieces attacking it. So this was played. Few of Magnus's biggest fans start bleating. We now see rook e8 to support that pawn in the center, and rook c1. Sure, you're moving the same piece again, but very logical. Rooks belong on half open or open files. Look at them both here. That theme comes some more soon. No grandmaster likes an unprotected piece being x-rayed, so it drops back. And now apparently, according to Sir Stock Squiddington, f3 is best immediately, but not played. This was going after the bishop pair once more. So Hikaru centralizes, great move. He wants to hop and head in here. That's a huge threat. So you do have to take a time out at times. Respond to what your opponent's doing. Now we get pawn to c ships, and with that bishop firmly on the run, Magnus decides it's time to chop. Quite correctly. How to recapture? Of course you go with the pawn. Open the eyes of the rook for free, and black's for choice here. Central knight. Advanced pawn. It's level, it's equal, but black's got a nice mini micro initiative. Magnus now fights back. Pawn takes. Pawn recaptures. Never play the stinky f6 unless it's a good idea. You're blunting the bishop. And of course, yes, you open the king, but there's no queens on the board. I can't draw, of course. Way too many Irish coffees, clearly. King f2 was played, a diagonal bomb cloud. Bishop e6 connects those rooks. Hikaru's got his bits out, and h4. One of the most boss moves you can play in chess. Recently voted the greatest pawn push of all time by the Global Chess Committee. These guys on screen, rumour has it, one of them's going for Emil's job. He's the head of FIDE. We now see rook ad8, or he's one of the top guys. There's also the other guy, right? Djokovic, or however you say the name. Kind of like the tennis player, but different. And now Magnus, very un-Magnus-like, makes a mistake. Hikaru's eyeing a sensitive weakness. This is so unlike him. Before you can say, Magnus Blunderson, he pushes a pawn. And it's like, dude, where's my goat? You're just blundering the game away. Because if you capture, the rook crashes through with check, and of course it's a double problem. You lose a bishop, the rook's in behind, pawn is weak, these ones going to be swarming soon, second rook joins the party somewhere, king is exposed, knight's pinned, it's awful. So Magnus decides his best hope is to go for this and try and give an exchange, hold it together like that, you know, glue the position, but you haven't really glued anything. It's like bringing sellotape to a water leak in the bathroom. It just ain't going to get the job done. Hikaru picks up an exchange here, and now he pushes the c pawn. h5 from Magnus, a mini camel toe erected on the board, king f2, Hikaru takes the distant opposition. What a guy. Clearly read that endgame manual by another guy whose name begins with D. I forgot, is it Dorvich or Djorkovic or something? Now we see rook d6 and it defends the pawn. If you love this kind of insight, do consider subscribing. Please also check out the socials down below. Trying to grow a bit of a presence there. Get more antisocial. Magnus pushes in the center. Rooks belong on these half open files. And with the pawn attacked, how do you defend? Rook a1 is so passive. Magnus knows you never do that, so he tries to fight here. Pawn takes back, or you would have dropped a rook. Now bishop takes. Don't drop a rook. Well, you are dropping a pawn. Now Magnus has seen this, but he wants activity. It's great blitz play. Just try and keep it weird. Hikaru could take the pawn on a3, but he instead decides to enter with this rook. Vacate a square for his bishop. Now the knight enters to e4, of course looking for this. Bishop d5, a wooden shield as Hikaru would call it. Magnus eats a pawn here, but look at the harmony and flow of Hikaru's play. This rook invades. F-pawn dropping, what to do? Indefensible. Magnus goes for the check, king ducking away here. And after king g4, anticipating the takes with check, I mean, obviously the bishop could take, very playable, but Hikaru decides to check here. Whoops, turn that alarm off, sorry. Check on the king, knight f5 blocking, and now why not take this pawn? You know, surely that's good. Then you eat the knight. Well, that was a little bit of misdirection on my part. Always look for the weakness of the last move, or the opportunity. This opened a rook attack. So don't take the pawn, you'd be dropping a bishop, game on. Of course these guys see it. Hikaru chop sui's that one. Now we get king e6, and after rook a6, resigns from Magnus. And not prematurely. He's forcing the rooks off the board, something like this, and you can't even get back to this pawn. You know, you can do this and this. What was the line now? Just bring in the king. A-pawn's going to win it. Rook's too powerful. I mean, even if you eat that one, the rook's going to be over here, mopping up, pushing these guys. Dead lost. Hikaru takes it, but not the tournament. It was young Denis Lazovic who took it home. Congrats to him, toppling some beasts there in online chess. Love to see it. Thanks very much for watching. Have a look at the video on screen if you want another epic game of chess between these two guys, Magnus and Hikaru, played recently in Clutch Chess, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.